to another episode of Coder Conversations. It's Kevin.
This is TC.
Man, what's been going on?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. Just finally got to the end of Elden Ring.
Oh, okay.
So I'm
Yeah.
trying to beat that.
Yeah, finally, man. That's a long game.
yeah, yeah. My friend was asking me like, "Oh yeah, are you gonna do a new game plus?" And I'm like,
Nah.
I don't know about maybe like I don't want to say never, but
Yeah,
eventually. But for now, I'm gonna take a break.
maybe in like a couple, few months or so.
hmm
I don't really feel compelled to play it again. It's like, I don't know. I just, I pretty much feel like, the first time through, I pretty much got what I wanted out of it, especially since it's so long.
Yeah. Like if anything, I might visit the other From Software games.
Yeah,
Um, Like I might revisit Sekiro.
yeah,
Um, I might pick up Dark Souls and just check that out. I haven't played them yet.
yeah. I recently got
So
a Xbox Series X. I bought Sekiro, so I'm about to check that out again. I had it on. I had the disc on One X, Xbox One X, and
mhm,
I stopped playing it after a while. But I'm gonna revisit it.
yeah, yeah,
That Series X is a nice system, though.
yeah. I don't have any consoles. I'm mostly PC,
Yeah,
but I feel like these days most of the consoles and slash PCs are like almost head to head.
yeah.
They're pretty similar. Besides like resolutions and stuff on PC. I could be wrong though.
They
Um,
release the games on all the platforms now, pretty much, with the
yeah,
exception of a few. So it's like you got a good gaming PC. Like, do you really need the other? I kind of just like it just for the convenience because, man, I got a gaming laptop and the
Mhm.
performance of Elden Ring is awful on there.
yeah. Yeah, I have some performance issues every once in a while, but uh, I'm used to old school games. Like if there's a bug, there's a bug. If there's
Yeah,
stuttering, there's stuttering. So whatever. I'm not gonna like tweet at somebody like, "Oh my god, this game is trash."
right. Yeah, like if you 50 frames per second, something's wrong.
Right. Yep. Exactly. Um, Yeah. Speaking of frames, you showed me that Mario mod, right? Where the guy recreated, he like redid all of the source code in Mario to make
I
it like
think,
run at 120 FPS or something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think he deconstructed Mario, and he got the original source code, and he made some modifications to it. It's
Dang.
pretty interesting looking into that source code, man. To such an iconic game.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I think it's crazy how when it comes to like software, like we can write it once and like it could like back in the day where you think, okay, this is great, and then you come back
Mm,
like years later and like, oh man, this is terrible, or like, oh, I could rewrite
yeah,
this to do this or whatever. Um, it's interesting to like to even have like somebody else come behind you and like
mm.
redo your code.
And just like one person making
Yeah,
enough change to just completely change the performance. But then again, they do have like almost 30 years of advances. Like, well, N64 came out how long ago? About
95, 96. Let me see.
okay, okay, so let's say 96. So about 25 years ago. That's a long time, man.
64 release date. He came out 96. Yep,
Okay,
96.
so about 4 more years, man. It'd be 30.
Dang,
It's crazy, man.
that's ridiculous.
It doesn't seem that long.
Yeah, time has to slow down. Pump the
Yeah.
brakes. Pump the brakes.
So, like,
Yeah.
coming from back then, did graphics make the jump that you expected, or did you expect more? Like, okay, 30 years later, I expect to see this level of graphics.
Um. Yeah, like probably. Man, I don't. I've never been a graphics. I've never been like the the super like oh
Mm.
graphics are so important to me kind of person. Just because like I grew up with like SNES and like old school PlayStation, like PlayStation
Yeah.
One and stuff, and so like they okay if a cutscene is nice, it's nice, but then after at a certain point, it just
Yeah.
becomes that the status quo. I guess you could say, like
Yeah.
it's almost like
It's all about the
Final
gameplay.
Fantasy used to have like really nice cutscenes and like
Yeah.
known for their like pre-rendered cutscenes and stuff. And then like when you reach that era of like okay, games and slash cutscenes are sort of blending to the point where like almost like Final Fantasy VII remake, right?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
like the models, the in-game models and the cutscenes are pretty close.
Mm.
Um, uh, I I just don't know if it can get any better than that. I'm sure like it can like with the Unreal and stuff, but
Yeah.
um,
Do we need that much?
do
But
we
we
do
get
we
to the
need it?
point of realism.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so,
You're gonna enter that uncanny valley. Yeah,
yeah. So speaking of like gaming, we all wish we got more time gaming. So I heard that there's a proposal in California to go to a 4-day work week. I'm not sure if it's 8 hours, 4 days, 8 hours, or 4 days and 10 hours. But
but then if they cut it, if they cut it from 30 from 40 hours to 32 hours, right?
yeah,
Uh, well, let me back up. Do you still get the full 40-hour paycheck?
finally not. So it's
Right?
like,
Because that was my thought. Is like if you don't get the full 40-hour paycheck,
yeah,
that's gonna
what's the
mess
point?
up a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Exactly. Like that'd be the wrong time to do it, man. Like, everything's so expensive. Like,
Yep. Yep. Let me see where 40-hour
let's see.
proposed bill. No, it'll reduce the hours.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think a lot of companies end up leaving California if they force that through then.
Companies with more thoughts. So this person will legally require employees with 500 or more pay on the fifth day, or does the corporation?
Because
Wow. Yeah.
what that's gonna do is make labor way more expensive because any hours over 32 is gonna be considered overtime then. Be
Yeah.
like time and a half. I mean, I would love that, but I kind of just see companies just gonna end up leaving.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that too. I could see that. I could see like people just it's gonna cause more stress because if nothing else
Yeah.
goes down, right, but the work week shortens, then what are you gonna do with that fifth day,
Right.
right? Like sure you could have a free day, but your paycheck's gonna go down, and then I just feel like there's just gonna be unnecessary stress to compensate for that day off.
Yeah, well, people are gonna try to probably get an extra job or something. So it's like, what are you really gaining? Like, on paper, it sounds lovely. Like, I only got to work 4 days, but if you're working 8 less hours, can you really afford what? Okay, 8 times 4 weeks, so 32 less hours in
Yeah.
your pay. Yeah, I don't think I can. I can't afford that.
Yeah. Somebody says it says this will cost our working class more stress than working 40 hours. It seems like this would essentially force people to work two jobs because employers are not going to want to pay OT on the fifth day. And
Yeah,
even if they did, favoritism would be more prevalent than ever for that fifth OT day. Oh yeah, it'll cause people to want to work more. And
yeah,
yeah, and then it says, seems counterproductive to me. This will raise California state income tax as well because somebody has to pay for it.
mm,
Dang. Yeah, no, I didn't think about that. It'll just lean back on somebody else.
yeah. How far along are they on this? Is it like definitely coming, or like over? What does the story say?
Um, let me see.
I know like certain nations in Europe they got the 4-day work week, but I think like France, but they're kind of built around it. Like their companies were accommodating that for a long time, so we're not really built like that, like built for that.
If the bill passes, over 2,000 employers will be affected in California. Um, some other advancements. I think the pandemic right now is. Proponents of the bill cite studies that point to an increase in productivity and profits in countries and companies that have already implemented changes like these, such as Kickstarter and some companies in Iceland. However, some say the bill could have adverse effects. The California Chamber of Commerce says the increase in labor costs would discourage job growth, especially with so many employees still trying to recover from pandemic and facing higher prices for supplies.
So okay, if this bill was in front of you, you voting yes or no?
I would vote no.
Yeah.
I would vote no just because the 40-hour work week would go at least in my case, right? Like I could see my paycheck changing, and then with that changing, then that just affects everything else. If I'm used to my income at a certain point, at a certain level, and then now you can cap me at 32 hours instead of the 40. Sure, I earned an extra day, but then like, or maybe I don't earn an extra day, but overall, since I'm annual, right? Overall, they would just cut my income, and that would just mess everything up. Like I can see the benefit in some cases, but in other cases, it's like, what's the long-term effects? To a 4-hour or to a 4-day work week.
Yeah, I mean, like on the surface, it looks like you get to relax more, but you're not really going to be that relaxed when, the cost of rent is just crazy. So
it's going up. Yeah. It's just going to shoot up. Yeah.
Have you really been feeling the effects of inflation, man? Like going to the grocery store, have you really noticed?
Grocery store, definitely. That was probably the first place that I noticed when like bread started shooting up, and like when all of the cheaper items like fruits and vegetables and like bread and stuff like shot up. It was like, wow. Like my sister had told me, she's like, has this always been this price? And I'm like, you know what? I don't think so. And then like gas has been weird lately. Like some places it's starting to go down. Like right now it's like $5.15, I think.
Yeah. Okay, it's not bad.
It's not bad, but like just if I feel like everything is just doing this.
Yeah. Exactly.
like you wake up one day and you don't know what the price is gonna be.
Right. It's like hard to prepare for because it's not stable.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're budgeting. And
exactly.
And if they cut from 40 hours to 32 hours, I could think that will ruin so many people's budgets of like, oh man, I only have this much now towards food. I only have this much now towards bills or whatever.
Yeah, man. I can't really see that going through. Like, in your mind, it sounds better than it will probably be in reality.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you perceive it in your mind. Oh yeah, it's going to be great. It's like when they see those like large salaries from software engineers, like, oh wow, this is great. I'm going to make $160K or whatever. Like, but then you have to take taxes on top of that. Then like just regular like federal tax. Then there's insurance, right? You take away that, and then like at the end of the day, you just like, okay, you've got all these like expenses, especially if you were to go through a recruiter, right? Because they take a portion of your first year's paycheck. So I've heard.
I think that I guess it depends on like the deal you sign. Like if you go through like Reviture, like one of those companies that
Right.
Certain companies they kind of like they take a portion, but if a
Mhm.
recruiter just hits you up like, hey, we're gonna give you X amount, that's what you get. What happens is
Oh.
they charge above, like okay,
Mhm.
say they say we'll give you $70 an hour. They're
Right.
really charging the company like 90, 100 or something.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
yeah,
and you get the difference. Okay. All right. Because I was thinking to myself, like, man, if I'm making this much, are they bidding for that much, and then we split the difference, or is it they must, like you said, they must just be bidding higher, and then
yeah. They keep the
okay.
difference. Yeah. So, but like making six figures, man, it doesn't even really feel like six figures because everything's so expensive. It's like you're, I'm pretty much living a middle class, like, like a middle class lifestyle. Like it's nothing spectacular. Like
Right.
I can just go out and buy whatever I want. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, what is your rent? 3K,
3.4.
3.4?
Yeah.
And you're paying how much by yourself? You paying the whole thing by yourself, or
No,
you
no,
paying
no.
like 3K?
I split it about 80, somewhere between like 75-25 or 80
Okay.
20. Yeah.
So you're dropping about 2,500 at least.
20, uh, 22, roughly.
Okay, 2,200. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's around what I'm paying for renting this house, man. But it takes a toll, man. Like good thing you don't have like an $800 car payment.
Yeah. I'm not planning on getting a car anytime soon. But then I hear like Texas is nice though. Like property is a lot cheaper out there. But then
Mm, it
isn't there a
would.
bunch of insurance on top of that though?
Uh, well, Texas used to be cheap, man. But I guess it's cheap in comparison to a lot of areas of California. But if
Mm.
you want to get like a cheap house, you have to go to like a Temple, Waco, Colleen, or something. It's like you're not going to be in a happening city, but
Oh, yeah.
you're about an hour out. But I guess it's worth it just to have it. Like
Just to
you
have
know,
it. Like, yeah, I got it. Yeah, no problem.
I'm kind of thinking about it, man. Like just buy a house for like 200K or something, stay in there, wait till the market, you know, drops down in a great city and pick some up in the other city and just rent out the initial house. Like, why not? Because it
Oh
kind of,
man,
oh, go
Gilbert
ahead.
Godfrey passed away.
Oh, wow. Man, it's a crazy year. Did
Wow.
you hear about Kirk Franklin's son? He got arrested because, on charges of suspected murder.
I what do they say? Never meet your idols, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like growing up, he's Kirk Franklin. I don't know about his son, but like I know Kirk Franklin used to be really like popular and like
Mm,
with Christian music and stuff. And you never think those people like who those like what they're actually like, you know.
yeah.
Um, until you hear something like that, it's like wow, like connection to a murder. It's like
I, I heard like the pastor kids are a lot of times the worst ones because it's kind of like they see their dad and he's not quite what everybody else thinks he is.
right.
They see the real him. It's like, well, that ain't perfect, so why do I gotta be? And if you're too strict on your kids, they kind of start rebelling. You know what I mean? Like,
So yeah.
exactly. So it's hard. It's hard finding that balance, man.
Do you, I mean, did I? I didn't grow up in like a super strict household, but I wasn't wilding out either.
Yeah,
Um, Meaning like I wasn't like the kind of person that would just do whatever the heck I felt like doing.
yeah,
Um, and I would say like there's so many variables when it comes to like growing up. You never know what's gonna like have long term effects. Like I
yeah,
didn't think like I didn't think like certain things that happened to me growing up would like affect me the way that it did, but it did. And
Mhm.
and I still look back and it's like, oh wow, like that really did have like that really did a number on me.
Yeah.
Um, and I would say like everybody's going through something, like
Mhm.
and like if if you realize a pattern, like growing up, if you notice, okay, hey, my dad did this and his dad did this, and you see a pattern, try to stop it sooner than
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I think
crazy.
you got to kind of be a mixture of. You have to have boundaries, but
Right.
you can't be like so strict. You feel like they feel like there's a whole big life outside of you. Like once I get away from home, this is a whole new world.
Yeah, yeah. You're just doing it just to get out. Like, oh, I just
Mhm.
want to get out. Just want to get out. Just want to get out. And it's like, well, where are you getting out to? Like
Right.
my mom used to be like, don't be in a hurry to grow up. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I can't wait till I grow up. I'm gonna move out and do this and do that. And sometimes I wake
That's
up like,
right.
damn, I'm an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
becoming an adult, is it what you expected, or is it like, oh man, I wish I was a kid again?
Um, it's not. It's nothing like what you think it is. Like,
Yeah.
and you can't glamorize this stuff. Like, uh, un- unless you just have like you've built a life for yourself to the point where you're just in this box
Hmm.
and it's just like this is the way that things are. This is the way like and I have this is my own little world, right?
Yeah.
Unless you just gotten to that point. But in my case, I would say, um, you know, things aren't the way that I thought they would be, and it's not. I'm not complaining, right?
Yeah.
But it's been a fun ride so far.
Yeah. There's good
Uh,
and bad about it. Like,
yeah,
obviously, like the good, you can buy whatever you want, and you don't really like living here or there. You can get up and move,
get
but
up and move. Yeah,
the bad is kind of like bills, bills, bills. Like money, money. It's
yeah,
just money, money, money. Everything's
yeah,
about money almost.
yep, yeah, and that changes you, man. Like that's something that I've noticed as well, where it's like everything. Like I used to be like, well, how come? Like when I was growing up, I used to ask my mom, okay, how come you don't have any money for this, or we don't have money for that?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like now I understand. Like, okay, yeah, she can't buy me this because of this. She can't buy me that because of that. Okay, I
You're
get it
right.
now. Um, but yeah, man, it's when you step into those shoes, being an adult and stuff. It's like, wow, okay, I have to
Mm.
pay rent. I have to be responsible for this and that and the other thing. It's no one can teach you. No one can really prepare you for it. I mean, they can
Right.
they can they can tell you, okay, this is rent, and you should put this. You can put money aside for this, and you
Hmm.
should say have savings and stuff. But I feel like it's only once you really start to do it do you learn
Yeah.
the ins and outs of adulting.
I think another thing is like always was like as a kid you look at your parents and you just see that they just come home and don't really hang with their friends. It's like it's just them and
Hmm.
you all. Like I always thought like, man, I'm never gonna be like that. But when you get older, it's like
Yeah,
everybody just goes their own way and you see them maybe once a month.
yeah,
I think dealing with that isolation is kind of hard for a lot of people, especially if you don't have kids or like a wife or husband or whatever.
you mean like the isolation of growing up or
So like when you was a kid, you just went outside and there's like 10, 15 other kids or something you could
right,
just go and play with.
yeah,
Now, you know what I mean? Like for most adults, where do they go to socialize? You know what I mean? You can't just walk up to random adults and be like, "Hey guys, can
right,
I jump in?"
yeah,
I
can
guess
I hang out? Yeah,
like church is a good one,
yeah,
but aside from that, like where do adults go if they want to meet up with other adults and hang with them
mm,
regularly?
hanging with them, yeah, Yeah, you just have to. I guess you would just. It's the luck of the draw. I guess it's
Yeah.
luck of the draw at this point, where it's like you go to an event, you go to a concert, you meet some people, and then you hang out from there. That's probably
Man,
the.
yeah, I feel like that's why a lot of people are depressed, man. Everybody feels so isolated. Like I was watching this, some video on YouTube. It's kind of like one of those React videos where
Mhm.
they went to some tribe in Africa and they brought them like different American candies or whatever. But
Yeah.
you what you see is like that tribe. They're all together. They will take a piece of the candy, eat a little bit, hand it to the next person. But they all
Mhm.
live amongst each other. It's like they're in the community, but with most of us, like, do you actually feel like you're involved in your community? Like, well, I know the people around me, I go out and hang with them. I don't really feel like that. I've been here for like 2 years and I don't even really know my neighbors.
Mm. Do you think that's because? Well, why do you think that is?
Uh,
Like,
you know, I think you know, there's this everybody's always moving around. You know what I mean? Like even I'm just renting this house, so there's gonna be a point unless we just buy it from the owners. If they decide to sell, we're gonna
mhm.
be uprooted and gone.
Yeah,
And you know, everybody's inside too, like they're in front of a screen somewhere.
yeah, right. Um, yeah, people these days aren't really. They're not in front. We don't interact face to face anymore. I feel
Yeah,
like uh, it's you have to try to make that connection passing by somebody, meaning that like if I'm walking down the street and I pass by somebody, or not down the street, but if I walk down the hallway of my apartment and I pass by one of my neighbors, quote unquote, then that's at that time it's like okay, I have to say hi. I might not
yeah,
have to introduce myself, but if I see somebody, just say hi to that person and
yeah.
try to be social in those small instances. That'll take you further.
Were you able to make a connection with any of your neighbors enough to the extent to be like, hey, let's go
No,
chill, let's go.
no.
Occasionally.
Yeah, that's that I haven't done yet. Um, yeah, no, I haven't done that yet, and I don't think I'm gonna get to that point. Just because, like you
Yeah,
said, like we're all inside, we're all
yeah.
so disconnected. There's no sense of community.
Yeah, everybody's kind of suspicious of each other too. It's like some random person walks up, "Hey, why don't you come over?" I
Yeah,
don't know you.
yeah. Like why? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you plan on like getting more, like having a community around you, or do you kind of accept the isolation type thing?
Um, I try not to accept it. Like I, I'm very much introverted. I'm okay
Yeah.
with being by myself, but there's definitely those times where you're just like, man, like I need to talk to somebody. And
Hmm.
then, growing up, like being an introvert growing up, I would, um, like if somebody was to interact with me, I would sort of just. It was almost like a hot air balloon where I was just like, I have all these thoughts and these ideas and
Yeah.
topics I want to talk about, and anybody who would talk to me, I would sort of just dump all this information onto them. And uh, looking back in hindsight, I was like, wow, like that was a little bit too much for one person to handle.
Yeah.
So um, I would say like now I try to uh, I, I'm learning to communicate and reach out to people more regularly and try to schedule things.
Yeah.
There's definitely days where like work gets in the way and stuff. But like for weekends and stuff, I try to get out. I try to
Yeah.
get out, at least like go by and visit people, um, like family and stuff, and just reach out to friends. Um, and if I can't make it a regular thing, then at least I would say, there's always Discord communities. There's always like online, events and stuff that you could
Yeah.
possibly go to. I went to a food market a couple weeks ago, like an Asian food market, and there was a bunch of people there, and we were just trying different like cuisines and stuff, and
No, that seems
it was
cool.
nice. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, like me,
Yeah,
me actually getting into church. Actually, like I go to a pretty big church, so
yeah.
there's a lot of like very talented people there, and
Mm,
working on different things for the church you meet a lot of cool people that way.
right.
Kind of got me out of just sitting at home all day, doing the whole zombifying in front of a screen all day.
Vegging out. Yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah,
we got excuses for that. Like I'm being productive. I'm learning React or
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's always an excuse. I
but
would
you're
say, man,
literally.
like
Mm-hmm.
it,
Oh,
it,
go
it
ahead.
helps. It helps to it helps to just like have a physical activity that gets you
Yeah.
out of the house. Like for me, uh, I'm running in the morning, and I just recently started going to the gym. Because I have a gym that's on the first floor of my apartment, and I was like, you know what, let me start going, and I've started going there, and there's people that have seen me like running and stuff in the morning. Like, oh my god, are you the guy that I always see that goes running in the morning? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And so like it helps to like I didn't do it for nobody but myself, but
Yeah.
it helps to just get out the house and have like a physical activity.
Right. Yeah. I think like a lot of people are trying to find that balance. Like, everything's so expensive. We're kind of in that grind culture mode. Like, I gotta get money, 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 money. So I need to study hard,
Yeah,
study, study, study. And they feel
yeah,
guilty just going out.
you're
But
not grinding.
yeah, but as you get older, you realize your life isn't a computer. So
Mhm. Yeah,
just allowing yourself not to feel guilty about getting out of the challenge.
yeah. I would say I used to have that mindset of like grind, 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 go, 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 go.
Yeah,
And did it help? I would say yes. Did it help as much as I thought it would, or as much as I was thinking that it
yeah,
was? No. And the reason I say that is because just like working out, right? There's days where you need to rest, right? Because if you
right,
don't if you don't give yourself time to rest, then you could cram and force information into your brain as much as possible, but
yeah,
you're not gonna retain information uh, just by cramming and like trying to
right.
force it. Like I've tried doing that with GraphQL, and it has not worked. I've tried that with uh, React stuff, and like okay,
Mhm.
yeah, before this interview in a week, I'm gonna force myself to study GraphQL and blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
I
it
bombed.
doesn't
I
work.
bombed that interview.
Yeah,
I bombed that interview hard, but still, it's like instead of trying to force myself to learn something, uh, if I just gave myself the time and learned it over
yeah,
time, or just done
exactly.
something over time, and don't care about like, oh, I gotta do this in a week, I gotta do this in
Yeah,
a month, I gotta get this now, I gotta get this now, I gotta get this now, and just be like, you know what? Just there's no time limit. Just go and learn it, and then now it's just like React stuff, like hooks and lifecycle methods and
yeah,
whatever. It's almost like second nature. Do I have to look up
exactly.
stuff? Sure. But I'm not forcing myself to just know the answer off the top of my dome.
Yeah. I think it comes down to realizing like life is a marathon and you have to find a comfortable track. Like you can't
Yeah.
just like sprint all
Yeah.
the time. You're gonna
Yep.
burn out.
Yep.
But
Yep.
you also
Exactly.
can't like waste your time on your days off like never studying and then I got an interview coming up, time to cram. Like that
Yeah.
is-
Exactly. Exactly. It's all about that balance, man. Once you find that
yeah,
balance, it's a sweet spot. And once you find that sweet spot, that's it. Like
yeah,
can't nobody
exactly.
touch you. Can't nobody touch you.
But yeah, I think that's a good one to end this on. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right, we'll catch y'all later. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.